So we've got all types of events, and I'm going to share some of these in different categories because we're going to start using these right away in the class, and I want you to have a reference to go back to look at the types of events. This is not all the types of events. This is not even all the categories of types of events, but I don't want to overwhelm you at first, so we're going to start pretty simple. So we have document events. Okay, that's the first category, and those have to do with the HTML document or the document object model. And when the DOM content is loaded, that basically says the basic structure of the web page is now loaded and you can do stuff with it. So if you want to make sure that the whole web page is loaded in terms of what you can do with it before you start trying to do things to it, which is a good idea, by the way, then you'll use DOM content loaded to make sure that that's all loaded before you start trying to run scripts on it. Now, you can also check to see if the entire page has loaded or unloaded using load and unload events. So you can check to see if the page is fully loaded, meaning the scripts and everything on the page, not just the DOM, but the whole thing. And you can also use the unload event to see if a page if somebody's leaving a page. And when somebody's leaving a page, you might want to say goodbye or whatever. So you can do something when somebody's leaving a page also. Mouse events, basic ones, are these. Click is what we just used. It's when you click on an element. Mouse over is when the mouse hovers over an event. Now you need to be careful with that because that works well with a mouse pointer, but if you're creating a page for a mobile device like a phone, obviously I can't tell when somebody's finger is hovering over a button or something like that, so that doesn't always work. And in fact, you might notice that sometimes using an interface that was designed as a web page on your phone, that if you tap it once, it does something, and if you tap it again, then it clicks the button. The button might change color the first time or whatever. That's actually triggering the mouse over event. Mouse out is when the mouse was hovering over something and then it leaves that event, or it leaves that space. That maybe it's hovering over a button and then it leaves that button. That's the mouse out event getting triggered. Mouse move is where the mouse is moving when it's hovering over a button. So if you have a button, I can actually tell if the mouse is moving while it's hovering over that button, and I can even return things like the mouse coordinates and stuff like that. So that's useful for seeing what's happening with a mouse while it's over a certain part of the screen. I can capture keyboard events. Key down is when I press a key on the keyboard. That could include any key on the keyboard. Key press is a little bit different than key down in that key press is any key that returns a character. So it actually generates a letter or a punctuation or something like that. Key down could actually be something like the shift key, which doesn't generate any sort of character. So you want to be aware of those limitations and differences. And then obviously key up is when I release that key on the keyboard. So these are form events, actually. Form events include submit, reset. So I could submit a form or reset a form, and then form elements, like a form field where I type something in a web-based form. It can be changed. Focus means I've clicked into that event or the cursor appears inside that event. And then blur is the opposite of focus. It's sort of something else gets the focus or the cursor moves somewhere else in the form. So those are kind of the big ones that we are tracking right now. So we've got document, we've got mouse, we've got keyboard, and we've got form events. Those are quite a few events to play around with, and they're going to encompass a lot of what we do in this class. Now, there are other events. There are lots and lots of other events. But again, those are sort of outside the scope of this class, and they're more advanced and maybe more nuanced than than we're going to cover right now. But these will be great for getting us started in terms of interacting with users on our website.